This episode is going to go over everything you need to know to create a new unit in Supreme Commander 2. To start, we're going to be in the game data directory and open 3.scd archives. We will open uncompiled Lua and units. In your mod folder inside the units folder, we will create 3 folders. They're all just the faction names. I'm going to create a new UEF unit. Here it is advised to use the same naming system as the original game. A new unit in Supreme Commander 2 needs 2 files to be registered as a unit. The 2 files it needs is a .blueprint and .lua file. They both go in this folder. Whatever you named your new unit's folder name, you also have to apply to these names here. Also inside the script file, there are 2 lines you have to change. And now that's all set up, this is now my own unit. Now if I were to load the game, my unit would be registered and it would exist. However, there are a few problems. Very big problems. One is that it does not have a model, and 2, it doesn't have textures. If I were to load the unit right now, it would be able to move around, but it would not do anything. We need to get the unit's model and textures, and since I'm using an existing unit, I'm just going to follow its directory in the second file that we opened, the units.scd, and since I'm editing the King Cryptor, I go units, UEF, and then this folder here, the King Cryptors folder. You copy all of those files in, and same as before, you rename them to your new unit, whatever you named that folder originally. To quickly explain all of these files. These are texture files. They are .dds files. If you wish to edit these files, you need to find any image editor that opens .dds files. These files here that end in .sca, those are animation files. As of right now, I do not know of any ways to edit these files. These files here are model files. There are 3 of them with different levels of detail, with 0 being the highest level of detail. This one's a medium quality, and this one is a low quality model. You can see as it saves more space, the lower quality it is. These are just the code files that tell the unit how to function. I want to quickly address something in the script file. This part here, the experimental mobile unit, that leads up here, and it's a certain import. In here, uncompiled Lua sim. You can find all of the unit types by searching through. Experimental air unit, experimental factory, gantry, mobile unit, sea unit, factory unit, hover unit, all of them are in here. I want to point this out because there are certain problems when you create custom units. For some of the units that I have made, I had to make my own unit types. I haven't made anything new, I've just merged existing unit types. From my experimental cluster artillery video, I had to create my own custom factory unit. Now we have a new unit that will load into the game. We're not done yet, however, as we need to create an icon for the unit. So we're going to do that by creating a new folder here called Textures. Inside the Textures folder, a folder named UI, then a folder named Common, then a folder named Icons, then 2 different folders, one named HUD, the other named Units. So these folders all lead to the icons for the unit. The folder mapping is exactly the same in the archive as it will be for our folders. We go Textures, UI, Common, and then Icons, and then it splits. Here we have Units, and this is all icons for the base original units. What we do is we find our icon, in my case it's this one, and we rename this file to whatever our folder was for the new unit that we created. So in my case, it's this. So all I do is change that to that, and we're done. Now inside the HUD folder, I'm going to go to Units, and I just follow that directory here, HUD Units. We just do the same thing. We find where our units are. However, this time there are 3 files that we're going to copy over. In my case, here are my 3 files. Just drag them over and do the exact same thing. Replace the unit number with yours from your folder name. For these 2 icons, leave the underscore and letter that follows it. In this case, this is all that I replaced, just this front part here. Then we have to do the same thing in PC units. Set that to your folder name again. Depending on where you want your unit to be built, you will have to change its categories in the unit blueprint file. Mine is currently using Encryptor, so it will be built from the experimental gantry. If I wanted my unit to be able to be built from the ACU, I would have to do a blueprint merge on the ACU. When I go to Experimentals tab, here's my unit, the Encryptor 2. It's exactly the same. Later on my tutorial, I will go through miscellaneous things, such as how to make a C unit that can be built as if it's a structure unit. As you can see, you get this green outline and can place it specifically. And as can be seen, it has an icon. Everything's working properly. It has model and textures. And if there were enemies it would attack. Has its animations and everything. I do not know how to do that. I have not found any method of opening them. So I don't know if it is possible. I feel as if it is, but as of right now I definitely do not have the ability to edit animations. So sadly I won't be able to go over that. But that's just about everything for this tutorial. Hey, so future me here. I was originally going to go over the differences between the different types of units in this part of the video. I decided against that as I did not feel I would be able to do it the justice it needs. I will instead link a wiki page. I've linked it before. It has all of the information on a unit blueprint file. The biggest difference between unit types is, in the case of structure units, if they move, and if they move, how they move. The other biggest difference is inside their script file. Inside the script file, different unit types have many different methods that they run, such as for a C unit, when it sinks. A C unit uses custom code for the sinking and when it hits the sea floor, custom impact effects, as well as creating the wreckage that can be reclaimed. This is just one example of many differences inside of a script file that each unit type would need for its own individual uses. Again, there are way too many different methods inside of each script file, and some units even use their own custom implementations of these methods. Well, I can't go over all of that in this video, and I do not believe there to be a page on the wiki about the script. I can say where to find this information, and that's inside the uncompiled Lua archive, inside the uncompiled Lua folder, inside the Lua folder, and then inside the sim folder. I showed this directory before, and this is the script file for all of the unit types. If you're creating your own custom unit, you may need to go in here and merge some of the types like I've said before. But this is where you would find all of those methods for all of the units. So if you needed something or wanted to research something, this would be the place to go. I wanted to bring this up because this is very important to unit creation. And there's no compiled place for all of this information, and I can't compile it all here, there's just too much. So instead of trying to do the task of compiling it all, which I do not feel I would be able to do successfully, I'll just point to the direction where you'd be able to find all of that information, which is the directory that I pointed out earlier. Also, one other thing that I wanted to address quickly is that my unit is not unlocked through research. You have it unlocked all the time, no matter what options you enable. This is a problem because you can get an experimental right as the game starts. The research menu is also very small. So in the case of my mod, where I have lots of units, this is very undesirable. I have not yet fully learned how to add a unit to research, so that will be in a future tutorial, just not right now. So as of right now, your unit will be able to be built right as the game starts. I will learn how to add a unit to research, but as of right now, I do not know fully how to do that.